Welcome to your awakening. Please take care as your reality is adjusted.
Good morning, Global Digital Gulag. Is it all? Yeah, it is. Sorry, I thought I distracted myself for a second. As per usual, yes, welcome back. Yeah, I'll gibber while I'm trying to reload my page so I can actually see the live stream going on YouTube, because it's doing its usual. It won't actually run until I reload the entire page. Okay, whatever. Just normal refresh doesn't do it. I have to reload the entire tab and make it start again, but it works eventually. And at the moment, that's all that matters for now. It functions good enough to enable me to do what I'm doing. 2 turntables and a microphone. Yeah, I was just bitching at myself because I was trying to wiggle me fancy light that's on the ceiling.
I thought you were going to say, and a packet of crisps, please.
Yeah, 2 points of lager. Yeah, boomerizing the whole situation and bemoaning the fact that you're supposed to do loads of fancy shit for this internet medium these days. People don't want to look at your content unless you're doing some kind of fancy or weird shit to keep their attention. Or you have to constantly change the camera angle every like 30 seconds, or a jump cut, as they call them, because you stop to take a breath for a moment, and that the algorithm recognizes muted parts where there's no audio. And if you include jump cuts, that makes the algorithm take notice that it's actually been edited. So therefore there's a high production value to your video, so it gets more promotion. It's fucking, why can't we just have a platform where you make content, you put it on the platform, and if people want to look at your content, they can look at it? None of this fucking algorithmic curating. Some of the suggestions. That's your gong.
What are you like?
Some of the suggestions.
I think he means this.
Me now.
Get your attention.
Some of the suggestions YouTube gives me now are just fucking ridiculously shit.
You know what, Cookie? You gave me some good advice once. You said to me, whatever you do, just be yourself and be genuine.
Don't ever make an AI
no,
picture anymore.
That's why I've given up on the fucking AI shit, man, because it's not. It's well, yeah, I've said that many times. I'm not going to digress into talking about that at the moment. We'll get to that eventually. But yeah, welcome back, folks. I'm ranting and complaining about the fact that in recent times, certainly over the last several days and weeks, many times I've seen content that's basically saying exactly the same kind of shit that we've been talking about on these shows for years, that we may have been talking about 10 fucking years ago. But now, because somebody's put it on TikTok and it's got jump cuts and they slapped their logo, their dog, their DOG as they call it, on the screen. Like, I've got a fucking thing up there in the corner. Yeah? That's a dog, as they call them in the industry. But now that because somebody's put the content on a TikTok fucking 15-second video, all of a sudden everyone wants to look at it. Yeah, all of a sudden everybody knows everything about every fucking subject matter ever, because they've watched a 15 fucking minute TikTok video. I shouldn't say 15 minutes, 15 seconds more like, but no, there is some good stuff out there. I shouldn't stereotype all of it into one basket of fucking shite, but I've just bemoaning as well the fact that, like I mentioned, the current environment has become so algorithmically controlled that even if you're aware of that kind of situation, unless you take steps, in other words, you have to be a little bit tech savvy and you have to employ some methods and some third-party software and shit like that, yeah, you can avoid a lot of it, like the ad blocker. That's not exactly like, hacking software. But in a way, it is a cultural hack, because this current system is so insistent that the only way it can survive, because it's such a fucking parasite, is by funding itself through constantly showing you adverts. So every conceivable possible excuse and moment where they can shove one in, they will. Yeah. So having something like an ad blocker is basically culture hacking. Yeah, because this system only exists through that kind of perpetual financing of its parasitic nature. And that means by having something like an ad blocker, you're now considered a dissident. Yeah, the platforms don't like you if you employ things like an ad blocker or a cookie blocker. The irony of me using a cookie blocker. Yeah. My nickname was never to do with the app that they call cookies, but
No.
in a very ironic synchronicity, ended up that way in this modern
It amazes me how many people still don't use ad blockers or like Brave or something now, Cookie, that can stop it. And you know, I was in Sonia Polton's show the other day, and there was another advert, and someone said use Brave, you don't get any adverts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's ways you can avoid it, but we've ended up in this situation where I'll use the phrase weaponization. I know people understand that in and of itself is a dangerous phrase. It's a toxic phrase, maybe would be a better definition. But they've weaponized that situation to such a degree. There's that contest where they'll introduce something that breaks the ad blocker. So now all of a sudden you're being subjected to their tirade, their fountain of shit adverts again. And then the people who write the ad blockers will update their code and counteract what was just done by the platforms. Yeah. And you get this constant backwards and forwards, this weaponization, you know, this arms race of technical capability, software coding. But that means inevitably their ability to put adverts anywhere at any time, at any moment to fucking target you has been made better by the efforts of the ad blockers. But in the same manner, the ad blockers keep getting better at blocking their shitty adverts. But it means us as general users are stuck in the middle with this constant to and fro situation. And the fences of the internet where we're allowed to generally congregate, the public areas of the internet, is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're pulling the fences in more and more and more because they know if they leave it open, like the open range, we'll all be off doing our own fucking thing and enjoying ourselves and learning about shit and whatever. Yeah, no,
yeah, and also I've just put a link in, Cookie, to get rid of paywalls.
Oh, cool.
Buybypaywall.com, and it's good, and it's got lots of different sites you can use to get rid of a paywall.
Different ones, yeah, cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, there's still a lot.
You're becoming a pirate, Rob.
Yarg. Definitely get yourself a pirate.
Yeah, cats would like that.
Having just a little rant about some of the shit, the way this current situation is, simply because recently, not simply because, but as part of the reason why I ended up ranting about this stuff. Like I mentioned, I'm getting really sick and tired of the shit, the absolute trash that Google keeps putting in front of me as recommendations, because it's so desperate to get me to stop looking at things like the news content that I usually look at. In other words, its own algorithm has created a situation where now it's self-defeating itself, if that makes any fucking sense to you. Yeah. It's took me on this process where it's gone, oh, he likes that kind of content and he likes those kind of subject matters and he likes that kind of content creator. Okay, so we've got this algorithm that's funneled down what he wants into these select little demographics of content that he wants to look at. But that means he's stuck in a funnel. So now we have to show him the opposite of that. So I tell you what, let's just fuck all that out the fucking way, because that's stuff that he wants to look at. No. We'll show him shit that we want him to look at, that's the opposite of what he's actually looking for, because we've got to make sure that he's not caught in a cul-de-sac, in a echo chamber. So we've got to make sure that we show him shit that is actually completely the opposite of what the algorithm told us he wants to actually look at.
No Jab has suggested Stuck in the Middle with You as a tune.
Yes. Yeah. But it is that I'm using it as an example, as an analogy, just to make the point about how in a cultural and psychological way, because obviously the society we build in our shared environment is affected by the psychology of all the people involved in the endeavor. In other words, if your population are a bunch of fucking ignorant arseholes, you're going to end up with a really shitty society, where everyone is just a fucking ignorant fucking arsehole. So that inevitable manipulation and corruption of culture and information, basically. I shouldn't really use the word culture because that's a bit confining, because there's lots of other elements that were included. It's not just cultural stuff. It's documentation, it's evidence, archaeological evidence, historical records. There's loads and loads of stuff, obviously. Various ways we can access information and ideas. It's not just cultural stuff. But by affecting that information sphere, that pool of information, they affect the thinking of the people that live in that population. This was a message that Orwell tried to get across to us in multiple little snippets in his main book in 1984. Yeah, but in some of his other work, he tries to explain the point as well. But you don't have to. You don't have to physically beat somebody into accepting a tyrannical environment. You can do it by altering their thinking. Do you remember, some of the older ones here probably remember, back in the 80s and 90s, one of the common things you'd hear from the British establishment, especially when they were talking about foreign affairs and when the military got sent abroad and stuff like that, they'd often use the phrase hearts and minds. Right? It's all about connecting with hearts and minds, which was why our officers didn't wear mirrored sunglasses. This was actually a point they made back in the 80s. Yeah, there is a reason why some people chose to wear mirrored sunglasses. There's a reason why that classic image of in the USA, the American motorcycle cop with the helmet and the mirrored glasses. This is why he used it in THX 1138. Because exactly, yeah. But when you see a motorcycle cop with the mirrored sunglasses on, as well as I think it was in one of the James Bond film, that cop, I think, one of the Southern cops, it's not Roscoe P. Coltrane, it might have been him, but whatever. The point being is there is a psychological reason to wear mirrored sunglasses. Yeah, and the American army used to do this. Their officers used to wear mirrored sunglasses deliberately because it creates more of an air of authority, because you can't see their eyes. You can't read the micro emotions around the eyes themselves as well, obviously. But what we pick up on in a body language sense is the muscles around the eye that can express emotions. And even on a microscopic level, you are subconsciously aware of those changes in people's faces. That's why you can usually sense when somebody's, a psychopath, because they don't have that kind of innate muscle response like normal people do. But you know what I mean.
I used to like wearing them when I was 14 on the beach, looking at the girls.
Yeah, because they couldn't see your fucking eyes. Yeah. But that's the point. It's like hearts and minds. And they made a point. Maybe it was just them as part of their recruiting back in the 80s that I remember. I don't know, but they made a point about stressing the fact, British officers never wear anything that would hide their face. You have to look the person in the eyes so you can get a good diplomatic connection with them, so you can de-escalate. That's the word I was trying to think of. You can de-escalate any possible conflicts. They were talking about like the expeditionary forces that were working with the UN at the time doing peacekeeping stuff in third world countries. This was before the beginning of the war on terror and the rise of things like the Mujahideen and whatever, and all that kind of shock doctrine shit that they started in the 80s. But yeah, I'll digress a lot talking about mirrored sunglasses just to make a point about hearts and minds. And the point about hearts and minds is the war begins in your mind. And part of that manipulation, like Orwell described it, is if you change the environment so that there isn't any physical record or memory of something, whether it be an event or an idea or a concept, any little bit of data, any little bit of information, you can basically cause people's thinking to change. Because if they don't have the concept, if they don't have a word to describe something, eventually, after a generation or two, they won't even be able to comprehend what that fucking subject was that you're trying to explain to them. You can use a particular word and they're like, I have no idea what you said, mate. You might as well have said umbrella to me. It wouldn't have made any difference, yeah? It's like trying to learn a foreign language. But it goes to the level of once you remove elements from the language, from the information sphere, then you change the way people actually think. And given enough time, like the image in the background, people will adopt a modus operandi of thinking and a cultural environment as a new norm simply because they think that's the way things are going. Everybody else is doing the same thing and there's no information that says anything differently. Everybody's buying this now. Everybody's using AI, mate. Why aren't you using AI? Are you the fucking crazy guy in the background who's, you're the dissident that's going to end up getting executed? Because you're doing stuff that makes other people remember that there was something different before all this tyranny began. I'm really sort of circling the bushes now, running round around the bushes just to get to the segue to explain the title this week, because I don't know if it'll make much sense. Plus, like I said, I was having my little rant about how if you've been on the internet for a long time, and especially some of the certain platforms, the regular platforms that become ubiquitous standards with the internet, like YouTube. I don't do Facebook anymore, and I could never be arsed with X. I don't really use any of the other platforms that much, but I know other people still do. But my point being is if you're used to those platforms, you probably noticed the great noticing of how the ability and the functionality of them seem to have basically shrunk. Along the lines I was describing earlier, where the algorithm seems to have been self-defeated by its own desire to give you exactly what you wanted, but then it was told to make sure that you had alternatives. So now the AI is tripping over itself to give you two polar opposites at the same time. Yeah. But you may have noticed how, as the world situation, as the political situation in your own country, here in the UK, it certainly has gotten this way, in Great Britain, I should say, the situation, as it has become more and more crisis-ridden, the tyrannical control of the internet and the ability to say what you think and feel has been curtailed more and more and more. You know the way this narrative goes, this story goes, yeah? The more they're losing control, the more they try to crack down. So the more they tighten their grip. But the more they tighten their grip, the more people notice that they're in a tyrannical regime. So they start speaking out about it. So then the system has to crack down more to control all these dissidents that are speaking about the tyranny. So they crack down even more, and then it gets more tyrannical, and more people notice that it's getting tyrannical. You see how it never-endingly, inevitably feeds on itself until it eats itself. There is no stopping this process. Yeah, it has to eat itself. The beast will eat itself in the end. You just have to stop feeding it and let it eat itself. That's the only way to get rid of it. It's the only way that it dies. You can't physically kill it. Yeah, you have to let it consume itself, and then it just ends up nothingness like it was in the first place. It is nothingness in the first place. It's all built on concepts and ideas. It's an ideology. It's not a real thing. But the point being, why I said we will remember, that's the subtitle for this week, is one of the most vital elements that helps push back their attempts for that kind of tyrannical control, where they limit the information available to you because they know that they want to make sure that your hearts and minds can't be free. Because if you're free, you might disagree with them. You might choose things that they don't want you to choose. And they can't allow that, because otherwise their own position of power and indulgence is going to be removed or curtailed. So they know that controlling your access to information is inevitable, but also essential for their cause. And part of how you defeat that control of information is by remembering things in your own wetware, in your own hard drive that exists outside of the self, because the consciousness is not local. But the point is, your ability to tap into that information is at that local point. Can you remember? But yeah, we will remember part of how you defeat their tyrannical control, because eventually there'll be no more missiles, there'll be no more tanks, there'll be no more shooting at each other, because there won't be enough people left to do the shooting. And then what you're going to be left with, a generation of people that can't remember what the world was like before it was destroyed, unless they've been constantly reminded before the shit actually happened. And that's how you prevent that tyranny gaining control, or creating a tyrannical control structure. You have to remember what it was like before the tyranny blocked your ability to speak about that information. A lot of what we've done over the years is we look at events that have already happened, and we pick them apart and go, oh, the official story can't be true because there's this anomaly and this and this and this and this and this. And we can see how the real history has been fucked about with, rewritten, erased in places, and just treated in such a way that it serves their purpose, obviously. So if you want to help yourself, help your own family, help your own lineage, help your own demographic, help your own society, one of the best ways to start is to learn history and make sure that you remember to pass it on to others. You have to do. Oh, sorry. That's what happens when you misread or get distracted and read only one comment as part of somebody else's conversation. You're like, what? Hey, what? Anyway, that's why. Well, that's one of the big reasons why it says we will remember as a subtitle this week. The other reason, and in a typical synchronistic fashion, certainly for me anyway, I think sometimes my brain is busy doing stuff and it doesn't bother letting me consciously know, so that when something happens, I can go, oh, look at that, and I can act all surprised. Whereas really my brain was setting me up for that, in the first place. It's like, you'll enjoy this, guaranteed, just do this now and make this note and write this down, and there you go. Over the weekend, you may have seen it, it's been doing the rounds on the news media. Trump was asked some questions while he's on Air Force One, like he loves to do, because it makes him seem so worldly powerful and whatever. He stands in that doorway giving his diktats to the journalists, and they're all gathered round him like Grimer Wormtongue, waiting for the dribblings out of his mouth so they can lap him up. Anyway, metaphors aside, they were listening, asking him questions, and he's talking about how he wants the NATO allies. This was one of the questions I made a note of for this week. Will the NATO allies join in and start sorting out or policing the Strait of Hormuz? Policing was the word he used. But really, it's not just a matter of policing. They've got to actually come in and sort out the situation in the first place. Basically, he wants them to get involved in the war, which we can talk about. But the point being, one of the last things he says when he's making this statement about how the NATO allies need to make some effort, because the Strait of Hormuz is so important. They ought to be here helping, they ought to be here policing. And if they don't, we will remember. And he was making that usual mafia threat of, if you don't do what I'm suggesting, we'll remember you. You'll go onto our blacklist. So from now on, we'll start fucking you over at every opportunity. He's already mentioned many times about scrapping NATO. Certainly, they want to pull out and they want it to change if the other members won't agree to the changes, then they will pull out, and that kind of diplomatic threat. But yeah, he made that use of that comment, we will remember. And I thought, I'll remember that, mate. And I put it in my notes. I thought, yeah, that would be a good place to start talking about. And then it turned out that it's actually the Ides of March. I don't know if you noticed. Maybe somebody's already mentioned it in the chat. Sorry, I will come and say hello to the chat in a minute, because it's been about 30 minutes. And it always takes me about 30 minutes to do my initial introduction. I'm going to have to start editing these at some point. But yeah, it's the Ides of March. It was yesterday, obviously, because traditionally it's on the 15th. But I think 16th counts as well. It's within the time. So that was a bit of a coincidence. I thought, well, yeah, we'll remember that. Because, that's one of them things from ancient history which people still remember. You could be breathing Caesar's last breath. Do you remember when that meme did the rounds, or that trope, maybe I should say? It got turned into a meme. And we did all have a bit of a laugh about it, because I said, yeah, you could also be sniffing Caesar's last fart, because that's still going around the planet as well, because this stuff doesn't ever go away. It just gets recycled. Yeah, everything gets transformed from one thing into another. So what he took in as oxygen came out as carbon dioxide, and it floated around amongst the atmosphere. And then some tree inhaled it and turned it back into oxygen. And then the oxygen's floating around the atmosphere. And then you breathe that oxygen in, and you're breathing Caesar's last breath. Wow. But it was Caesar's last breath after 2,000 years of going through multiple other people before it got to you. So, it was a bit recycled by it. But we can remember the Ides of March. Like I said, a bit of a synchronistic convenience. And why I think my mind was deliberately setting me up for that. And then that situation with Trump, the question I put in my notes is Trump finished because of all the shit that's happening? That's something else we could talk about. Is that connected to the Ides of March? Is his commentary from Air Force One timed deliberately for this period of the year? This period of year is often used by them to do changes to societal structures, or to map borders, the outlines of each country and shit like. In other words, they like doing major events on these solar dates. I've made this point many, many, many fucking times. They're obsessed with the solar cycle for many reasons. Part of the reason is the output of the sun not only affects our weather, it obviously creates the energy required for everything on this fucking planet. So without it, you wouldn't be in the first place. So obviously it's vitally important. But it also affects your thinking. Because just like the plants need the sunlight, we as humans need sunlight as well. We're just a different kind of plant, is another way of looking at it. Biological animals are just a different branch of the natural system. We develop differently to all the other stuff, but we still require sunlight. Going without sunlight for long periods of time is not good for us. And being able to get good sunlight on a regular basis is good for us. It's a healthy thing to do. So the sun is very, very essential. It also affects our thinking. This has now found more scientific proof to back it up. It is no longer just the woo-woo discussion of weird conspiracy theorists who think, the sun's output has an influence on events down here on Earth. This is a topic that's been discussed for a long time, and it ended up, I think, gradually becoming one of those subjects where it sort of it gives birth to various memes and maxims and tropes and truisms along the way. But as a subject matter, it's still sort of viewed as being a bit like religion and politics. It's one of those subjects that you shouldn't really talk about because it makes people feel powerless. And when they feel powerless, they start getting afraid because obviously without the power to protect themselves, that elicits fear in people. Yeah? But the sun's output, one of the tropes that's grown out of that knowledge or that information is the concept that millionaires don't pay any attention to astrology, but billionaires do. So in other words, encoded in that little phrase that people often throw around as just like astrology's just fucking woo-woo shit, man. Fucking forget that. It's bollocks. It's just bullshit in the newspapers. Yeah, the shit you get in the tabloid newspapers is bullshit. But that's not really what astrology is. Yeah, it is a subtle science, which means it doesn't create absolutes, which is why the academic world hates that kind of idea. You know, they think it's just silliness because you can't reproduce absolutes, even though, you know, in many ways it does. But compared to their usual kind of academic rigor, it's not considered a hard science. It could maybe be acknowledged as a social science because it makes people happy. So they'd put it under the humanities. Yeah. But yeah, billionaires take notice of astrology. Why? Why is it that millionaires think they've made it and they poo-poo that idea that astrology can actually give you information about what's happening on the world based on what's happening up there in the heavenly bodies, you know, in the entire solar system and beyond, that has an influence down here on Earth? Because there is an interconnected link between out there and you individually. There's a chain of energetic connection between the entire galaxy, the universe as well, really. But let's go from the galaxy stage just to keep it a little bit simpler. From the galaxy to our solar system, and the sun is obviously the nexus point where the galaxy joins to our solar system and vice versa. Then from the Sol star in the center of our solar system to our planet, and then from our planet to you. Not that many degrees separation, but you are energetically linked to the entire fucking galaxy. Because that galaxy isn't just linked to our solar system, it's linked to every solar system in the galaxy. Yeah, that's the way galaxies grow. And I'm going far off digressing now, so you know, it's gone beyond the 30 minutes. I think I should leave that point there, and it's something we could always come back to. But let's go back to talking about the news, and we will remember. And that's the main point I wanted to talk about. In my notes, I've just made some notes as questions about the events that have been occurring over the last several days. Obviously, they interconnect into other stuff as well. So you could go all the way back in history and remember earlier stuff. But yeah, this episode as well, I didn't realize until Pete was setting it up for me, and the numbers stood out to me once I saw them on the screen, you know, as in written down, as it were, 9/11. It's episode 11 of series 9, so this is 9/11. So we got Ides of March and a 9/11, and it's all about remembering. At this Ides of March, remember as well, means you've only got less than a week now before we get to the spring equinox, and that is a major change point. So yeah, don't forget what they've been doing. Don't forget the track of history. Don't forget what has been removed from the general discussion, or what you're supposed to not be talking about anymore. And there is a big long laundry list that I could mention, but yeah. Was that a good enough intro, or should I waffle some more? I was thinking about.
I think you did pretty well. I think you did pretty well, Cookie.
I was thinking of starting a short series, and I know that sounds ridiculous, me saying something short, yeah. But I was going to say, like, we're Piffle and Tosh. I'm Piffle. He's Tosh. You're the governor. And I was going to use the Sweeney intro music. Yeah, and we just come on, we just fucking swear at each other. Instead of the Sweeney, we called the Sweary. Yeah, and I'll be Piffle.
I like that, the Sweary. That's good.
Yeah. Piffle and Tosh. We're the swearing. We'll just come in and we'll just bitch and fucking shout at all these fucking arseholes that need arresting because they're fucking wrong uns, mate. They need putting down. Get in the car. We're going to fucking go and get them.
I'm as angry as hell and I ain't going to take it anymore.
When talking about the kind of remembering of stuff, you know, it was making me, because I've been watching, I mentioned this last week, I think. I've been watching a lot of the old classics again and stuff like that. I watched all of the series of Rising Damp. Some of the shit on that. I couldn't believe they mentioned, like, smoking cannabis.
Leonard Rossiter.
Yeah, that series is from the fucking 70s. And they were talking about the students smoking cannabis at the university.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I was fucking surprised. I didn't remember that from when I watched it when I was a fucking kid, donkeys years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the other subjects they mentioned was quite eye-opening. Of like, oh, right, they were talking about shit like that back then.
Because he goes to smoke it in the end, doesn't he? He has a go.
Yeah, he wants to try it. Yeah, because I can't remember the character's name. The young white guy with the floppy hair.
Oh yeah, who died? Yeah, he died quite young, didn't he? In his daughter's an actress. Mascara will tell us. He always remembers.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic memory. Yes, hello in the chat. Thanks for hanging on while I do my blather, my Piffle and Tosh. And I was only thinking Tosh for you simply because you got a moustache. So Tosh seemed to, like, back in the day, Tosh used to
Richard
be...
Beckinsdale.
There you go. It was a nickname that was commonly used in the English language for some reason. I don't know where it comes from originally. Because it's also, you know, it became a bit of a word that meant something silly. You know, oh, that's just Tosh. You know, it was meant to be a kind of dismissive phrase to use. You know, so I don't know how it went from being people's nicknames to them becoming kind of like a pejorative. Maybe that's just in my experience from people I knew. I don't know.
Yeah, Richard Beckinsale was Alan Moore, and then you had Ruth Jones, didn't you? Who was Frances de la Tour.
Yes. Miss Jones. Oh, Miss Jones.
And Rupert Rigsby.
Yeah, who was quite the composite actor.
He was a brilliant actor, wasn't he?
If you listen to any little interviews with him, and I don't think he ever done anything extensive like that, but there are a few bits and bobs around, like when he appeared on the Morecambe and Wise show. But yeah, you listen to him, he was like a Shakespearean actor.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
But, you know, you could say he was just another one of the typical lovies in the British media entertainment industry. But I think, you know, if you go back and watch some of them older series from the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s, there were some still good TV shows that were out there, you know, that were a bit more genuine in the way they approach subject matters and news information and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, remembering them, go and rewatch them if you got the opportunity. I know because I watched it on YouTube. You know, Rising Damp, the whole series is available on YouTube. I'm sure if you have a search, you'll probably find other stuff as well. I found a lot of old Morecambe and Wise stuff. And this is freely available. I'm not talking about paying the YouTube fee. So, oh, you want to watch a movie that'll cost you... Blah, blah, blah. Fuck you cunts. Fucking monetizing this shit forever. Sorry.
They're doing a lot of it now with... you can watch it free with advert. With advert.
Yeah, remember what I was ranting earlier about the adverts? And that's the thing.
Yeah. It's free if you watch it on Brave.
Yeah, how many fucking adverts are they going to try to shove in there? Average movie is 90 minutes, and I bet you there'll be like 9 adverts probably. Certainly 7. There'll be several, because that's about an average that they seem to like for the number 7.
Well, on TV, it's about every 10 minutes, isn't it?
UK TV, it used to be something like 13 and something minutes. There was a restriction Well, there used to be a timing restriction of how often they could show them. But if you look at like American TV, it is literally about every 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, they can put adverts in, because trying to watch a show in America, it drive me fucking insane. No wonder they're all so fucking pissed off all the time. All you want to do is watch your show, and like every so many minutes there's a fucking advert.
When I went to America, Cookie, in the early 2000s, and that was my first trip to America, I went to Los Angeles, and I couldn't believe how literally there was an advert every 5 minutes of watching the TV. Yeah. And I couldn't believe that also the adverts for the pharmaceutical industry as well.
I've never been to America, but I did go to Mexico, and the place we stayed at, because it was a typical Western style resort, yeah, they fed American TV shows into the cable TV, yeah, because obviously they knew most people coming to stay there would not going to be Mexican and wouldn't want to look at Mexican TV. So I had the opportunity to try and watch some American TV, and like I said, mate, it just fucking drove me mad. I just
there you go. Look, Dustin just said pharmaceutical poisoning ads only here in America.
Yeah. You buy our pill, you only get a little bit of anal leakage. You know?
Yeah.
It's just one of the side effects of this system.
You get the sped up side effects at the end.
Yeah, with the guy talking super fast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed as well, in a sort of advantage sense, as in it's proven to be an advantage for me, the speed control on YouTube. Because part of the reason why I'm able to just look at so much information is, I'm sorry, but I try to be respectful with people. But if you put out a 2 or 3 hour podcast, and I'm trying to watch that as well as several other fucking podcasts on the same day, I'm going to watch you at 1.5 speeds, mate. I'm sorry. I know you're talking like a chipmunk.
I do that with Pete's Daily sometimes when they're 1 hour and 12 minutes long.
I can still understand you.
I shall make them longer.
Yeah. Well, I'd say 1 hour is a good, to me anyway, 1 hour seems a good, because it gives you the space.
45 to 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives you the space to give context to some of the stuff you're including. I think you've been doing it really well, man. You put in not just, you're not just literally copy and pasting shit from the internet. You're actually giving people relevance and references and context, And I think that's something that for a lot of people they're missing. It's why I like Rob reading out the headlines. Do you see that on news media anymore? You will if you stay up till like 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And then nearly every news channel will have a little segment where they'll spend about 10 minutes looking at the next day's newspaper headlines.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't get people doing that of like, look, here you go, folks. Here's just, a quick summary of all the major news stories for today. Boom, there you go.
Bullshit they're putting out.
Yeah. Well, this again is, to me, this is linked into that concept of the information.
For me, it's Rob ASMR. I play you extra slow. I slow you right down.
We'll get you licking your paws eventually.
Yeah.
Watch my daily news headlines, everyone.
Oh, yeah. You should do that music on the feeding the ducks music.
The feeding the ducks music.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Empire March theme might be more appropriate for most of the headlines. Although saying that, the British media over the last 2 weeks,
a lot, isn't it?
There's a lot of general stories that they've been including that normally haven't been in the news media.
Really?
And one of the other things that I've noted over the last at least 2 weeks, if not longer, is there have been a number of paedophiles that have been arrested and prosecuted in the UK. Far more than there have been in recent years. Yeah, just in the last few weeks or maybe a month, there have been multiple arrests and prosecutions, so much so that they've been featured on the news media and on the newspapers. Why is that? And why is it that pretty much every single, as far as I know from what I've seen, every single one of them was white male.
Ah.
None of the rape gangs have been prosecuted. None of them are being featured on the news media. No. But some guy, what was he, kindergarten worker or something, like a nursery school worker, it was in the news today.
Yeah, the normal ones.
So, yeah, some chubby faced guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Paedophile nursery worker arrested. Yeah, and jailed.
Yeah.
So they're making a point, and again, he's another middle-aged white guy, but they're making a point of telling us that, we are actually doing something about paedophiles, folks, but it's not the ones that you've recently been learning about, yeah? It's not Jeffrey Epstein's mates. It's not Prince Andrew and his mates. It's just some low-level, I'm not saying this, makes it okay. Of course it doesn't. But we all know that there's a whole fucking structure.
Yeah, we already had a problem, and we imported one on top of it.
Yeah,
they won't talk about that one.
Yeah. So the news recently has been, other than that, the main, I think, stuff they've been focusing on is Starmer and all the, the to and fro with him being a fucking idiot and supposedly being incapable and whatever else, all the usual fucking dead cat stories getting thrown on the table. But in terms of actually addressing the serious questions of what's going on at the moment, hardly ever mentioned. Yeah, the war is just something that's sort of happening over there. Don't worry about it, folks. It'll be over by Christmas. Oh, they didn't tell you it's going to last till Christmas. Oh, well, yeah, it'll be over by Christmas. Don't worry about it. It's not World War III. It's just a special operation. Meanwhile, Trump is threatening NATO allies that if they don't come and start putting themselves in harm's way and getting hit by the Iranians, because guaranteed the Iranians will shoot at them. Yeah, because they've got absolute lawful legitimacy to do so. Yeah, so of course they will. So in other words, Trump is saying they have to come and join in his little war. Or maybe I should say it's Netanyahu's war, but Anyway, I still haven't said hello, and it's nearly an hour. Hello, everyone. Should I just say hello, everyone, and get on with it?
Yeah.
Because I'm already waffling all over the fucking place. It's the usual suspects in the chat. Thank you all for joining in. Hello to you all. Thank you for giving us your attention for a bit. Hello to the lurkers and the time travelers. I'm just scrolling down quick to try and see if anyone's shouting at me anything directly that I need to
Don't worry, Cookie. We're keeping
mention or just. Yeah, let me know if there's anything. Because I'm shit at keeping up with the chat unless I make the particular effort to do nothing but the chat. The chat, the whole chat, and nothing but the chat. Which I have said I would do. I have done it before. Where I don't have any particular theme or message, and I'll just sit and interact with whatever people are typing in the chat. But that's for another time, not right now. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Piffle and Tosh, I've mentioned that. Oh, I also wanted to mention, that story you said about them changing the banknotes, and that little clip of the guy saying they were going to put the parakeet on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the parakeet thing may have been a bit of a misdirection,
but they are doing it.
But they are
right? Something.
Yeah.
They're currently in consultation of what they're going to pick, basically. They've had the public consultation of what theme they wanted to choose, and the most popular was the animals and nature. So they're going with animals and nature. Now they're just debating about what animals for which notes. So they are. This is what I'm saying about history and memory and being able to remember this stuff and pass it on to other people. Obviously, of course, next generation, etc., if they'll give you the time of day to listen to what you're saying, but we have to keep repeating this information to them because the system will guarantee change the body of knowledge that supposedly represents real history.
I'd
We
vote to
know.
have sheep on the money.
Yeah, that would be more fucking appropriate, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or just put that picture of Kronos eating the baby. You know, that classic old oil painting of the naked old man, which is Kronos. Yeah. And he's like taking a big bite out of the infant baby. Just put that on the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't put the other stuff that they do on the note because that would be a bit too unpleasant. But that's such a classic traditional oil painting that's renowned for its beauty and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you could put that on there, couldn't you?
I got one.
Just remind people they eat the babies. Yeah, short-term loss for long-term gain. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if that was it. Before we met, what's his face? That other photo that came out recently with the what did they call it on one of the newspapers? Was it the three amigos? You've got Epstein and Andrew and Mandelson all on one photo. You can't say he didn't fucking know, and you can't say that Starmer didn't know. But we're still playing the game where the media has these fake debates, and the can is being kicked down the road again and again and again. How the fuck are any of them still in that parliament? How the fuck do any of them still have legitimacy? They're blatantly provable liars by the evidence that's been made available. Unless, of course, they want to prove that the evidence is fake, which would still require a court case and hearing and evidence being presented, etc., etc. Do you think they'll do that? No. They're just going to keep trying to fucking distract you.
Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson should be arrested for interviewing an Iranian.
Yeah. I think they're still playing a narrative building game with him. So, yeah, he represents the new media, doesn't he?
Yep.
More than anything. Mentioning him makes me think of other people that are current popular talking heads. And I've got to mention this because it's, I always feel the need to mention this because I'm certain that there's I could get over the top and claim that they're persecuting me. Infamy, they've all got it in for me. Did anyone watch? I've already asked Pete this, so I know his answer. Did anyone watch the recent Jimmy Dore episode, his live broadcast that he does, where he interviewed Professor Jiang? You know, that Chinese professor? He's not from China, obviously. He is Chinese.
No, he is in China.
That's the one.
I
Pete,
thought he was living in America.
Pete does clips on, doesn't he? Pete shows some clips.
Yes, Pete's included some.
No, he's lecturing in Chinese universities.
Oh, I thought he was living in America. I thought that's why he was doing his lectures in English. Why isn't he doing them in Chinese?
That's part of the curriculum. You have English teachers, so they do the
but he's
whole
not
thing
teaching
in English.
But he's
no,
not.
Because these students, after they went to his class, they go off to Harvard and shit in America and continue their studies, right? So they get all the paperwork. So no, they get studies in English. It's normal there. In Chinese, you don't get international contacts, right? So they get taught in English mostly.
Right. Okay.
Same here in Dutch university. A lot of it's in English.
Roscoe
we have a lot of international students, right? So that's the main fucking language, guys. So
I know
Fuentes calls him Chung Jong Fung.
Chung Jong Fung.
Chung Jong Fung. Well, he's not Fu Manchu, I'll tell you that. But the main reason I ask is because if you do happen to have the time, because it's something like an hour and 40 minutes, it's a long interview. They go over a lot of subjects. But if you have the time, have a listen to it and tell me that there's anything different that he says that I've said over the last several years. I was sat here listening to it thinking, I could say this is, again, similar to others like Max Egan and other people that have pretty much repeated my arguments, my talking points, my rhetoric. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just seems to ripple further and further. And
The
interestingly enough,
noticing cookie. It's the
yeah,
noticing.
the noticing. And this is the thing. I'm quite happy to accept that a lot of what it is there's two possibilities. One, it's plagiarism, yeah, and that he has been basically harvesting information off the internet in one form or another, and all he's doing is repeating what he's finding, yeah? Or
No.
he's doing his own interpretation. He's genuinely doing what he presents himself as, and it just so happens that he's agreeing with everything I've been talking about for the last several years.
I mean, I don't know about you, Cookie, but I was watching Max back in 2011, 2012.
Yes,
And he was quite ahead then.
Yeah.
And he was almost saying what was coming up, what was going to come up back then.
Yeah.
So
it was. That was why
many people were.
One of the first videos on my channel was his video that was called The Awakenings. Yeah, and it was a lot of what we often talk about. And it ended up getting a copyright strike on it, not from him, but from somebody else who claimed their music was in there. And YouTube wouldn't accept my appeal, and it got removed by YouTube, because that was one of the first videos I put on my channel. There was that. There was the William Cooper one where he's talking about the UN, and there was the What in the World Are They Spraying? And
Maxwell. Add Maxwell to that.
And the David Icke one that he did in Australia that I think was one of his good
8
ones.
hour fucking.
No, it's one of the short ones. That's
no, that was Wembley.
6 hours.
No, it's like 2.5, I think.
Gee.
And there's one from fucking hell, what's his? So Newman, Rob Newman, The History of Oil, where he's talking about the way the First World War started and how the last century was built on oil and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's another good one. And I've got several more, well, more than several. I've got quite a few documentaries that I would re-upload, but I know that YouTube will fucking, they'll copyright strike them, or they'll just remove them without even saying anything, because they contain information that I know is verboten. It's forbidden on YouTube. Yeah. You're not allowed to include that information, or you're not allowed to cover that subject matter. Yeah.
No, they love you to fall into that trap, kinda, because then they can use it to arrest you.
Yeah, or to restrict your channel.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm still waiting for, is a knock on the door. It's something that so far, it's one of the reasons why over the years I've been more and more convinced that there is somebody who actually monitors me and my channel. There is a handler that has been assigned to me.
You got a handler? Ooh.
There must be. Because otherwise, why the fuck are the police?
Well, Rob is mine. I can be honest about that.
With all the shit I've talked about, with all the various things I've said, and for example, especially during COVID, again, I know people like to deny this because for some reason they never want to admit that I say anything fucking worthwhile. But some of the shit that I put out during COVID, I know that became common talking points across the fucking world in this internet sphere of conspiracy genre. Yeah. So why didn't I get a knock on the door for that? There's somebody who's deliberately tapping into my content, and I think it's the security agencies, because they're keeping an eye on what kind of information are we churning through? How accurate are we? How on the ball are we? How much information is still leaking out to the public internet that they need to either get a grip on, or they need to release counter misinformation? Yeah. So they're using us as a sounding board for more of the general conspiracy genre discussion. They don't do that with people like fucking Tucker Carlson, because he's serving a narrative purpose. But small channels like mine, small channels like ours, we are kept deliberately subdued so they can use us to information sources, to data mine us. Yeah. I've pointed this out many, many times over the years, and people usually just give me the refrain, "Oh, you're just a crazy paranoid conspiracy theorist." How much shit that I've talked about over the last 10 years is now coming fucking true. go back and listen to the content on my channel. There's very little that I've changed my point of view on. There's 1 or 2 points that I've changed my position on, yeah. But really, I've been consistent for 10 plus fucking years, and I've been talking about this same situation coming. Now it's here, but I still get called crazy, paranoid conspiracy theorist. Professor Zhang is getting celebrated, yet you listen to that interview, and he is almost verbatim saying what I've been saying for several fucking years. Why does that connect from him? Because he's a professor. But he's a professor from China. And I was surprised when you were explaining that. If he's broadcasting from China, how the fuck are people not turning around and going, hang on a minute, is this misinformation from the Chinese agencies? Are they deliberately trying to pollute our discussion with these, these various narratives that they're introducing?
Or are they more based in China than here in the West? Because that's not something that is taught at all over here, right? The occult,
no, you can't do
none of that.
You could in some private, like if you go to some of the private faith schools, you could probably elect. You get an elect minor or an elect major. You could probably choose a subject like that. But in general, certainly not in the academic general education, no chance.
Because I do agree there is the Chinese angle. Because the Chinese, of course, are superior to all of this. They're kind of he's kind of making fun of all our Western thingies and our Western, he admires parts of it and he loves a part of it and he likes part of it. But I'm sure, China is the way.
Yeah, China is the model.
Yeah, he won't say that China will fall to the Pax Judaica or China will fall to whatever empire or China. He will never mention that. He can't.
Yeah.
He'll be fucking in jail, right? So you have to take that in mind, like where he's coming from. But the information, I think, is legit. Like you say, he's referencing a lot of stuff that we have been saying and a lot of people have been saying over the decades.
Yeah.
And it's like
David Icke was talking about this in the late 90s.
It is kind of like a David Icke, Jordan Maxwell kind of a lecture, but in a student setting, right? So that makes it kind of odd. Yeah,
and less on the. I know
and
he
unusual
does go into,
for us.
Yeah, I know he does go into the esoterica, but everyone I've watched so far, he tends to stick to the more academically acceptable subject matter. Yeah, he references the esoterica. He makes a point of these people are following a certain faith, belief, perception, but he doesn't bother going into explaining it of why they use the kind of symbolism and the occult methodologies and stuff like that. No, he sticks.
I don't think one man can know all, right? But or lecture on all. But but he's interesting. He's definitely interesting, and I wish we had kind of these kind of lectures here in the West because it is a mind-opening kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But from his perspective, sure, China number one.
And it is also, to us, it comes across as being very refreshing, the honesty of him discussing the subject matter and showing how it's all interconnected and how it's working towards a certain goal and whatever. But if you applied that to standard education in this country, it would basically be seen as being sedition because you're pointing out everything that's absolutely criminal and wrong and unjust within this system. So it needs taking apart. So it would be labelled as sedition because basically you're calling for the end of this current status quo, which is what I've been doing for fucking donkey's years. Yeah.
Well, he'll point out things like the digital currency, digital control system, 50-minute cities. Meanwhile, he lives in China, where they have that already for fucking 20 years now. So, and he won't mention that. Like, well, we have that here. And this happens when you run out of credit. So, yeah.
Everybody loves the convenience of mobile execution vans coming to your neighborhood soon.
I'm not dead yet.
Oh dear. Right. Well, I was going to say we're coming up to the hour. We've gone past the hour. I've got a really typical fucking song to play for you.
Great.
I picked the this is a remaster, and I've noticed if people know this music, you might notice how it's different, or maybe you're aware of this remaster. It's a slightly different mix, but I actually prefer it. I think it's a bit cleaner. The original I always found was a bit muddy, if you know what I mean by that. But yeah, I'm going to play this song just because I think it's fucking typical. And then maybe after the song's over, we can talk about whether is Trump finished? Is this his Ides of March? Is he being backstabbed deliberately? Have they set him up to be backstabbed or something similar, to get rid of him, to finish him off? Or maybe even to use him as a stool, as a stooge. He's enacted this war and now they'll just get rid of him, But also the interrelated question, and probably one that's maybe a bit more important, is Bibi dead? And how many fingers did he have? We'll be back in 5 minutes. Be prepared. This is loud. guess what it is yet? Did you guess the title of that track?
Never.
And when we are successful, and we will be. That was a clip from Daddy Bush. Well, the song was Ministry, New World Order. And yes, it is definitely noise, right? Yeah, like I said, it's loud. It's definitely a lot of noise. And it's got a certain amount of repetition to it. But I think that's partly why, that's certainly what Ministry was renowned for anyway. But I always thought it was quite ironic in the way that I feel it represents their attitude to the rest of the world. You know, they, them, the cabal. Their attitude is just, you know, they will give us tons and tons of noise, tons of chaos, but they still manage to keep a rhythm of how they do what they do. That's how they manage to keep turning this world upside down every so many thousands of years, but they just keep coming back and reclaiming power every so many generations. You know, they're very much like a parasite from a science fiction movie or novel or story, science fiction story. And I think it's another part of the mythology of vampirism that it's becoming coded into the mythology of vampirism. You know, obviously there's a very particular cultural root to the idea, the vampires. And I'm saying it as it's spelt. I know it's not pronounced like that, but it's spelt, the original spelt with a W, vampire or vampira. You know, and it comes out of that middle part of Europe primarily. But
talking
really,
about them moving on, Cookie and everything, I think I know what you'll be talking about next Monday. It's the anniversary of 6 years since we were locked down next Monday.
Was it? All right. Yeah. I knew it had been 6 years now, yeah, but I didn't realise it was
next Monday.
Yeah.
23rd of March.
Of course, yeah, because I know for a fact I was making the point about the fucking Ides of March and the equinox and everything again back then. See what I mean about patterns? They have certain patterns, and once you start noticing them,
lest we forget.
The whole illusion starts becoming apparent then, and you have to try and keep remembering this stuff. Because they keep covering it up with more and more illusion and more distraction. Can you remember how many bullets he's fired? Was it 5 or 6? Do you feel lucky, punk? Yeah.
Oh, do you?
It's that kind of manipulation that they rely on to keep the mass of the population. I've described it before as being punch drunk. You know, they use this technique where they dump one tragedy or one emotional, like a trauma story. Whether it's real or not doesn't really matter. What they're after is the emotional reaction from the public. So every so often when they need to like get people distracted, they'll give you a massive trauma story. And it'll be something, you know, that's just sad and unfortunate, you know, like a child with cancer that couldn't get enough money to get help or whatever, you know, something like that. And they do that so that people just go from one emotional reaction. Because as we know, if they get you with an emotion, that amygdala hijack, as it's referred to, you know, the amygdala starts releasing cortisol and other nervous system chemicals that cause you to go into fight and flight mode and whatever, and your ability to rationalize is reduced. That's just a well-known reality. That's a fact. Yeah. But the difference is if you can become practiced and capable at dealing with that kind of situation or experience, then you, in a way, you become battle hardened. It's the same equivalent of somebody who serves in the military visiting multiple conflict zones. You know, over time, they become emotionally numb to the situations that they're put into. which obviously serves a purpose for the military. Yeah, they want somebody that will just do what they're told, not get upset about it.
Well, I've been confirmed Illuminati, Cookie. If you look
Illuminati
at the
confirmed.
yeah, look at the bottom there. Yeah,
Oh,
there we go.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
That was taken yesterday in Milton Keynes.
Okay, oh, the clouds in Milton Keynes. What's going on there? Okay, Illuminati confirmed.
Yes, there we are.
Neuro-linguistic programming, definitely. It's something I've tried to explain a few times over the years, and again referencing the kind of Orwell, Eric Blair, I should say his real name, the kind of concepts he was trying to reference for people. The neuro-linguistic stuff that in and of itself is a neuro-linguistic trick, but the kind of subject matter involved in that concept only really became codified into a kind of psychological concept, even though it's considered a little bit fringe. It's not mainstream psychology, but it is still accepted as being genuine psychology knowledge. It's accepted that it does work. What's his face? Is it Darren Brown? Dan Brown? No, Dan Brown's the one that writes the books, isn't it? Yeah, Darren Brown is the guy who does the...
He's the illusionist.
Yeah, he does the hypnosis and other psychological... Yeah. He's acknowledged that some of the stuff he does is neuro-linguistic programming, yeah?
Yes.
He plants ideas and instructions while he's chatting with people that he knows he can then reference like 20 minutes later. So when he comes to ask them to do something on camera, he's already implanted the instructions hypnagogically. Yeah? He's given them certain words and phrases that he knows that when he references them, they will have a certain reaction.
I went to one of his live shows, Cookie, actually, and
were you a chicken?
I took part in one, and he had me stand up. I was sitting in the audience, and they had a box of roses, and he passed me the box. They passed me the box of roses, and I had to pick one out, and then he guessed which one I was eating by me just chewing it.
Right.
Wow.
I know, exactly. He did get it right.
That's a superpower I don't need.
Yeah, he can hear colours as they're being chewed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing superpower. It's very useful.
I know.
His chips were a kind of golden, crispy colour. Okay. It's not quite Men Who Stares at Goats, but yeah, I know. It's
I remember when he did that. He did one program, and he got people to steal from shops and steal from a bank.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts.
He committed murder. He did murder, right?
Yeah. I was going to say
JFK?
he did do one that they've never repeated since, where he gets somebody to become a Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
He basically starts hypnotically programming them to kill someone.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's proven that this works. Like some of the stuff he does, he's just kind of like psychological trickery, yes, but it works. So the idea that they can't do things like Manchurian Candidate and stuff, they can. They've known how to do it for many decades. Yeah, so that kind of concept of, like I was trying to explain, neuro-linguistic programming is a bit of a sort of modern reference to ideas that have been around for centuries. Even people like Machiavelli talked about how you can manipulate others through certain, the way you present yourself, the phrases you use, the way you talk to them, even, yeah, as in the way the pentameter of your speech. Yeah, this comes under some. You can get some training, like if you're doing acting, or if you're doing some elements of news presenting or news reading, you know, that kind of TV job or role. They'll give you a certain amount, or you can go and do it privately. You can get education in how to speak in captivating ways. Yeah, because there are methods of how you can engage an audience's attention just in the way that you talk to them. You leave certain spaces, you lengthen certain words, you feed them a concept which you will then reference later on, conversational techniques as well as psychological trickery stuff. Yeah. But it's true that kind of stuff works. Neuro-linguistic programming does work, but I don't think it works in the way as it's often hyped up to, because it becomes very much that kind of con artist job where they'll get you doing affirmations in a mirror and claim that that's how you change your life. Yeah. No, you change your life by taking actual action to cause things to change in your life. Your life is not going to magically change just because you tell yourself you're powerful in the mirror. Yeah. You do that if you want. That'll give yourself self-confidence, and self-confidence is important to help you change your life. Yes. So if the problem is self-confidence, yeah, it's a good way to start.
They should tell Trump.
I have to say, Cookie, I did actually do that. I have to say that did help me.
Affirmations.
Affirmations. I used to, at a very bad point in my life, I put affirmations up in the mirror.
Yeah.
And
that's what it's meant to be helpful for. Yeah.
Yes.
Sigil magic.
You could. It can be. Yeah.
Because you associate.
This is what I was going to explain in terms.
Louise Hay wrote a book called "You Can Heal Your Life," and she talked about positive affirmations and using them positive affirmations in your life.
But symbolic language, we've often talked about the fact that they talk to each other in symbols, in symbolism. And a lot of the information, like the Freemasonic stuff that they passed on generation after generation for literally hundreds and hundreds of years, is encoded as symbols, not as a written word in a book. Yeah. So that kind of reference, we ourselves are taught in our general upbringing, in our general education, to associate certain contexts, certain ideas to certain symbols and shapes. Yeah, so when we see a certain shape or a certain symbol, we associate it with a various amount of context relevance to that. Yeah, that's called logos. That's why corporate symbols are called logos, because it was a bastardization of the word logos, and logos means body of knowledge. Yeah, so the body of knowledge that goes with that concept. Yeah, why are you laughing?
Oh, sorry. No, I'm looking at my dog. She's fully awake.
I keep forgetting it's a she this time.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Actually, Peter, you told everyone you've got a new dog.
I got a new dog. Yeah, I think I put it in the daily, in the comments.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Let me share an image, because of course I want to share an image. Hang on.
Yeah, we'll be getting her a camera and a microphone soon.
Let's get the R's from the
and a spotlight.
We definitely need a few more bitches in this show. Yeah.
And what's her name again, Pete? Please.
Meep.
As in meep meep.
Meep meep. Yeah.
So
it's M-I-E-P.
It's even got a cookie beard.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's a she.
Yeah, and the sister is lying behind her. Blonde one.
Oh,
I took the black one, the black sheep. Of course.
You just had to copy me.
I had to,
have a blackie.
Yeah. We should go black. You know what they say.
Well, last one was white, so let's go black.
Hi, Steve. Hello in the chat.
So I'm busy with that. Puppy training, guys. I'm puppy training.
Yeah.
But she's how you say, clumsy. So funny.
Oh, she's still young though. Again, still, finding a balance.
Yes.
Again, is something related.
Her feet are longer than she thinks, like shit like that. Yeah. Or the bench is higher than or lower. Yeah. So judging shit is not.
That's a bit like a kind of Labrador attitude or Labrador personality. I've known a lot of Labradors that have that kind of. They just bolster their way through. They're not worried about the fact that they're bumping into shit. I think with them, it's more just sort of an attitude rather than them not being aware of themselves. But I think as well, being young,
carefree.
She's still getting into her own body, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll become less bumbling, as it were. But we'll see.
It's it's a real trooper already. So part of the team.
Yeah.
And she took my couch already. Fuck.
Yeah,
5 months old and already dominating me.
Yeah. She knows which way the butter's buttered, mate.
That's another bitch that controls you, Pete.
Yeah, I know. You got 2 pussies, don't you? Well, 4. Hang on.
Hey.
Oi. Hey.
Oi.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into the silly AI shit?
Oh, well, let's just have a chat about Trump and BB, yeah, because the BB
Oh, I
AI
got 2
stuff
Trump
is
clips that
part
are
of it,
fucking
yeah.
gold. So fucking retarded.
Yeah,
that guy has not had any fucking speech control or knows anything about it.
Yeah, because I explained why I'm sort of jumped onto the idea we will remember as a phrase, and then it's become more than just Trump's mafia attitude, because he has been basically like the mafia don. He's been saying, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. In other words, he's telling all the NATO allies that if they don't join in, they're going to get fucked over later when the shit comes to their door. He's not going to turn up to help them. That is like a mafia threat. He really is like a mafia don. I'm not sure if you had it on the clip of him walking down the aircraft stairs. And like I said to you before we started live, it's like when I watched that clip, it looked like something out of a Batman movie. And he was like an evil supervillain, like Kingpin or something like that. He's got this coat on with shoulders that are so fucking massive. And the way he walks, he's got the usual kind of attitude swagger. And I was waiting for him to fall down the steps like fucking Biden.
Yeah. No, he falls up the stairs.
Yeah, but he didn't. But my point being is like just watching that footage of him, he just comes across as like a mafia boss, a thug. Yeah, and a lot of the shit they've been spouting in the media, or the stuff that Hegseth's been saying, they are literally fucking barbarians. They're thugs.
Yep.
Yeah,
and retarded, I think. Listen to this.
Yeah,
just listen to this. This is him today.
It's a little unfair. You win a war, but they have no right to be doing what they're doing. But we're hitting them very hard, and today is a big day where we're pounding a certain area that has very much to do with the Strait, and I think we'll get it going very soon.
So he's fucking upset that Iran is still
fighting back
because he won the war, he says. And then he says, yeah, we're going to pound. That's a very military term. Pounding is a military term, guys.
Yeah.
To fucking destroy something, I guess. He doesn't even know what, but yeah, they're going to pound.
Well, interestingly enough, I put in my notes.
Fuck me, what the fuck, man?
Karg Island. Because one of the other crazy things
it's
sort of along a similar line is they attacked that Karg Island. If people
They're
don't
fucked.
know,
We're done.
I know a lot of people are already aware of all this information because it's been put in front of us on the table, like because they want us to know this. But anyway, Karg Island is the main processing center for Iran for their oil, and it's the main shipping point that they use. Yeah. So in other words, all the international trade, which primarily goes to the east, most of their oil output goes eastwards. All their primary international trade, they send their tankers to that island, they fill up there, and then they head back out of through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, so they've got to get through the strait first to get to Karg Island. So Trump attacking Karg Island is going to make fuck all difference to the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. Yeah,
it's going to destroy the whole fucking oil for us, mostly, because they can still put oil on ships and then transfer from ship to ship, right? Do shit like that.
Yeah.
So they won't need Karg, but Karg is very important for us. Like, that's where we fill our shit.
Yeah, it's also refining center as well. Yeah, it's not just storage.
No.
It does some of the refining as well. So, but the thing is he claims anyway, and I haven't seen any other data to prove one way or the other, But he claims they only attacked military targets on the island. The only thing I've seen that would back up what he's saying is they showed some bombing attacks on the runway. Yeah, so the runway has been had some holes put in it, you know, to stop its use, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about an island that relies on shipping, runway is just an extra functionality of the island, isn't it? It doesn't fucking need it.
Yeah, but that's all they have been doing. It's airstrike,
Yeah.
missile, airstrike. You know,
Air
everything from
dominant.
the air. Yeah. And
Yeah,
now
air
Kark Island is important because they have to put ground troops on it if they want to take Kark Island.
Exactly. So
that's a fucking death trap.
They're sending in this 5,000 brigade of Marines, which are literally exactly the right kind of troops to attempt to take that island. Like, that's exactly their remit, because they're Marines, yeah. So they're attacking from sea, and the particular unit is specifically specialized, trained into that kind of operation.
Yeah.
So they're similar to the British SBS, yeah, in that respect, as in they go in first, so they're going into completely enemy-occupied territory and control. They have to establish a foothold. They have to get it ready for all the other troops to start coming in. So they're basically the tip of the spear kind of situation. And they've been sent over there, right? Now, Trump made the statement when he announced that they'd bombed the island. At the end of him explaining about how great the bombing was, we were so fantastic at bombing all the military, like he always does, you know, like I've explained so many times. He's such an egotist. He has to big up everything he fucking does. But he made the point at the end of his little speech to say, but we didn't destroy the oil infrastructure. But if the Iranians don't do what we want, then, you know, well, maybe something bad might happen. Isn't this a nice shop you've got here? Wouldn't it be terrible if something bad happened? Yeah, mafia.
Yeah, I don't know what they're telling him. Like, oh no, everything is going great. Everything's fantastic.
We're winning.
Everything's
We're
fucking
winning,
huge.
sir.
We're winning. Yeah. Meanwhile, because Tel Aviv just got pounded again, but pounded.
This is why I say,
I can say that term. He doesn't.
I know they're going to affect our prices here. They're going to use this as an excuse to price gouge, because part of the control, part of the tyrannical control, is to make sure that you don't have any expendable cash to help yourself with, that you don't have the ability of squirreling away savings to help yourself with. Yeah, they want to make sure that you are disempowered in a financial sense. So raising the prices of everything will serve their purpose. It will also give them yet another excuse. Potentially, this could crash the entire financial market if it keeps escalating, which is what I think the intention is. Yeah, you lose your snooze on the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, fucking good, Robert. Yeah. Yeah, they know that if this does continue, and I think this is Iran's strategy, they know this will happen, you know, and they're ready for it. They've been planning for it for decades. This is going to cause the financial market to crash. So it's going to create the perfect justification to switch to a digital system. As I've explained before, the digital ID will be argued because we're at war, so therefore we've got to make sure we know where everyone is, and you come in and go in, and when you go through the port and back again and blah, blah, blah. Yeah? They'll use this as that excuse. I think this is why Starmer is deliberately dragging his feet. He doesn't give a fuck about the humanitarian reasons. He doesn't give a fuck about whether the war is legal or not. When has the fucking British Empire given a shit about that? Yeah. Blair made that very clear, that they'll quite happily engineer an illegal war. And even when they've been found out that it was illegal, it's still done. It's too late now. It's done. Yeah, we've already broken them eggs, mate. It's too fucking late. You can't put them back together now. And in the same way with this, I think Starmer knows that he needs to leave it to become more problematic. If we went joined in properly now, it would accelerate the full-on war between us and them immediately. Whereas they're trying to drag it into such a chaotic situation, such an uncontrollable crisis, that the public will feel there is no choice but to go along with what they're being told to do. In other words, digital ID, digital financial system, etc.
In the Independent Today, Cookie, in my news headlines, I said that tens of millions of pounds will be set aside to support the poorest households because of spiraling energy bills. So Starmer's going to be spending more money that we haven't got.
And how are they going to judge that? Because I bet you it'll be means tested.
Yep, probably.
So you're going to be back in a situation where I guarantee you most of the money will go to people that the public will be upset about. Because it won't go to how many old people now do you know that are struggling because their pensions have been so restricted? You know, how often do we hear that story that old people are having to choose between food or having the heating on, that kind of thing? Yeah. Whereas we know there's a hell of a lot of people that are new to the country that are getting everything given to them on a plate in a massive way. Even now they're talking about giving them entire new build homes. Something that you as a citizen would have to pay literally hundreds of thousands of pounds to buy. But they're being given, obviously there'll be renters, yeah. But the point is they're just literally being given a home to walk into. Yeah. How the fuck are you going to justify that when there's all the other shit happening in this country? All the other people that need help. Yeah. I think that situation, obviously they're doing a lot of trying to save face and whatever and make it look like they're doing something. But Rachel Reeves was talking about what, a few million, something like 50 million that they've managed to find from somewhere. It's amazing how they always manage to find this money when it's needed, you know, or when they say it's needed, not when you actually need it. Yeah. I just don't trust that shit anymore at all. And I think the political system here in the Great Britain, the situation that we're in at the moment is so fucking over the top, like soap opera drama shit, compared to what's actually happening around the world. They're still busy about talking green agenda, intersectional pronoun, transgenderism, ideological safe space bullshit. Meanwhile, World War III is actually taking place and we're being goaded into participation by a tyrannical emperor who knows full well that we will just become another target for the Iranians. Yeah, we already are. They're perfectly legitimately in the right to attack Fairford. Yeah, because that's where those bombers are taking off from. The B-1 and B-52 bombers are taking off from Fairford. We've seen the video footage on the mainstream news media. They've basically been telling us we are supporting the American war cause, which basically means we're at war with Iran.
Well, you're also at war with Russia because, you know, the drone strikes on Moscow also still continue. And
still funding. Oh, no, not
it's
as
kind
much.
of our technology, isn't it? Our expertise. Yeah.
And targeting supposedly as well.
Mm-hmm.
That could
BAE.
link us into
BAE.
link us into the AI stuff as well. But let's talk about AI in reference to BB first, because that was also a major linkage in with Trump. Because obviously we could, I say obviously, but we could say that Trump is somewhat of a stooge in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's such an egotist, because he's such a narcissist and a psychopath, he's been psychologically manipulated into this situation. That could easily be argued. I could easily make that argument that he's just a twat. Yeah. That he's not some kind of evil mastermind that's doing this through deliberate conscious planning. He's just an idiot egotist who's been lured into this situation and is now committed in such a way that he can't back out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of BB, you can't really make that kind of argument with BB, can you? Trump could now potentially capitulate to the Iranians and go, oh, I'm terribly sorry. They made me do it. I won't do it again. I promise. I'll go home. Yeah, and he could back out of it. But the percentage chance of that being likely, really, really, really small. But you can't say the same about BB. BB is all in on this shit. This has been supposedly, according to his own statements recently, this has been his dream for 40 years. Think about the fact that Iran has only existed the way it is since 1979. the Iranian regime, you know, the current regime that they claim they want to get rid of and they want to get the Shah back and whatever. It's only been in place since 79. So in other words, he's trying to say that he wanted to get rid of this Iranian regime ever since it started. And he's been working towards that for like 40 years. So do you really think he's going to stop? Now that we're in the situation we're in, if he spent half his life or more than half his life, isn't he? Because he's not 80, he's what, in his 70s, I think, or late 60s, something like that. So he spent more than half his life, according to his own statements, trying to work towards the end of the Iranian regime. So he's not going to back down. And it's more than likely him that engineered this situation in the first place, or him and those around him that are part of the little cadre of extremists, the religious hard right extremists. I'm saying hard right. When you get into their level of religious extremism, political left and right, it's meaningless. Yeah, they're in it for a faith-based reason that is one that they claim can justify their extreme methodology. Yeah, but him and his little cadre, he's a little group of similar religious extremists are not going to back down from this. They can't really now anyway. If they try and pull out of it now, guaranteed he will be arrested as a criminal. He'll be tried for all the charges that are already up against him that he's been avoiding for the past, like, however long, a year plus, 2 years, maybe longer.
If he's still alive, Cookie.
Exactly right. This is the thing with the AI. Because I asked Pete to have a quick look. You know, this is just a quick bit of sort of internet research. So don't take it as being sacrosanct. And it might be worth people doing a little bit of investigation into this question. Because I asked the question, I said, well, when was the last time he was actually seen or interacted with in a way that people can corroborate that he was genuinely there? In other words, when was the last proof of life? Now, from what Pete found was what, the 9th of March?
Yeah, but now in hindsight, you can have some doubts on that video as well, right?
Yeah.
Because if the videos after were AI, that one might have been AI also. But the last one was 9th, yeah. And I don't know when his house was struck. Let me check.
Shit, I can't remember either. I don't think it was that far back, was it? I know it was several days ago, but I'm not sure.
I didn't know his house got struck.
Yeah, they claim his brother was killed.
Wow.
But supposedly he wasn't there. And this was part of what begins this line of questioning. Because other people out there raised the point of like, well, when was he actually seen alive? The videos we're being presented with, and even the videos we're being shown, are few and far between. But the videos that are being shared around look like they're AI fakes. And they even deliberately put the one up that Pete showed in his daily today, where he's pretending to make the point of like, yeah, look, here's my fingers. I'm not AI. This is really me buying coffee, drinking me coffee. But if you closely examine that video, there's stuff about that video that looks like it's fucking fake.
6 days ago.
6 days ago, right? Yes.
Pete then did the one about he shared it with me with the
10th,
ring.
and the 9th was the last video that we saw of him standing on the rubbles, and that kind of looks Dutch as well. So, so the 10th, people started talking about it, like, yeah.
Stanley Myers.
AFP fact check, false.
Stanley Meyer, he was an inventor, wasn't he? Wasn't he one of the ones that invented the water-powered engine?
Oh yeah, could be. Yeah, that could be a Meyer.
That's like, was it back in the 80s? I think that one.
Yeah, late 90s.
I'm not sure.
Early 90s. Yeah.
I might be mixing the name up with somebody else. So I'm doing it again where I'm reading just a few comments in the chat and then getting confused with what the subject matter was. But H20 car. Yeah, right. H2O car. Yeah, water car. I think from the 80s. Yeah. It was one of the classic ones that people often reference because there's actual news report video footage of him being interviewed by news reporters. And he shows the car in operation. He shows it to the news reporter. So that's pretty good corroboration that it was a real genuine machine that was working, yeah?
Now the rumors about BB, right? The fake AI kind of started with these kind of videos. This one is from today, like almost an hour ago.
Yeah.
People are already debunking it, like it's fake. Look at the shadow. Why did they put the text over the hands mostly?
Yeah.
I wish you, as I do every
I make it very dark.
A happy holiday season beginning.
And he sounds very robotic.
It signifies the age-old belief of the
lighting doesn't look right. Anyway, it looks like
no, and the shadow is too slow.
Will triumph over evil.
I think the scale's wrong as well. The backdrop, that's in his office, supposedly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I recognise the backdrop as being his office, and that looks like the shelves behind him are bigger than they normally are.
Yeah, the parallax doesn't work. Like the depth of field.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
doesn't work.
Yeah, the background.
The cloth looks way too shiny. It looks like Unreal Engine 4 kind of shiny, right?
Yeah.
Gaming shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the shadow apparently, if you slow it down and take notice, play it a couple of times, you'll see that
your loved one
doesn't quite line up. They say. I haven't verified any of it, but it started kind of with these kind of videos that he has been putting out, and that he isn't showing up at the weekly or the daily cabinet reports, right, on the war. So, and he's supposed to be there. Normally he's there. So now it's his second in hand, the prime minister or whatever, that is doing all that for the last X days. So
I can understand him maybe like we talked about before. He could be on the move simply as an evasion tactic, so that he's not so much of a military target. But there's no reason why, and certainly not when you're talking about the Israelis who've got a high level of technology. He could easily be doing the same as Trump. He could be flying around in an aeroplane and giving interviews from the aeroplane. Yeah, or he could be giving a little interview every time he lands somewhere without giving away his location. But they're not doing that, are they?
No, only Zelensky does that.
Yeah, because he likes to go and beg with everyone, so that he makes an announcement every time he arrives.
Yeah. So this a video similar to this kind of came out, right, a couple of days ago, and then we could see like dodgy shit with his fingers.
Yeah, that was the one I saw originally. I think you might put that in the daily a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So, and I was like, okay. And then he came out with the one in the cafe.
Quite good, actually.
Oh wait, is that? That's not the one.
Oh, you see my little missile. I'll fire my little missile.
I write
אני מת על קפה, אתה יודע מה? אני מת על העם שלי. איך הם מתנהגים, פנטסטי. אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות? אתה יכול להראות לנו? פה. ראית?
So yeah, it's really easy nowadays to do this, right?
Yeah.
So we saw the one with the cafe and a coffee cup that doesn't add up. The pocket, his hand slides in the pocket, and the pocket already moves. Like the cloth moves over his hand instead of his hand inside of the pocket. So physics in AI still issue.
Yeah.
So here's the latest one. This is the one that he, after all that commotion about that fucking one in the cafe, he came out with this one this afternoon.
Watch the ring on his finger.
Well, see if you can notice, right?
תודה לכם. טוב? קצת לספוג שמש. תודה לכם. של מי הכלב? שלך. איזה סוג זה?
I think they're using a mix of double and
לכולכם מגיע. יצאתם להתעורר קצת?
So there it happened.
ירושלים, יש משהו יותר יפה מזה?
I got the...
אין על ירושלים, כן, נהדר. הוא השתגע מזה. שמע, אני
So
זוכר את זה.
there are these cuts, right? Sudden cuts. From very different to different scenes, settings.
איזה יופי. שלום. שלום לכם. גם אתם
Just
יצאתם
making
קצת
videos
לטובות?
longer than 10 seconds is expensive on AI.
מרחב מוגן, איפה את יודעת?
ממש שמה, בטח. א' ב' זה לבדוק.
כמה צעדים מכאן, נכון?
Look at the camera moving.
זה הכי חשוב.
No cameraman moves between
מצוין.
sentences.
את אמרת הכי טוב.
That's fucking...
הציבור מבין את העניין.
There is a bit of a weird trend of camera motion.
The guy look at his fucking face. He looks like...
But yeah, they don't normally
Uncanny
do that
valley.
when people are just talking. It's when they're dancing and doing stuff, you know, they do the kind of weird in and out camera motion shit. You know, they'll sort of
What's
hold
happening
it
with
and
his teeth?
do this kind of stuff with it to add extra sort of depth to the presentation.
Yeah, his teeth don't quite line up there, but that could be me. But let me spoil it. Notice the ring.
אתם להתערב
And it's gone.
קצת? יפה מאוד. תראה, ירושלים יש.
And it reappears.
This by magic.
יצאתם להתערב קצת.
The Lord of the Ring. It's when his hand went past the dog. I bet the AI got a bit confused about texture details or something.
Maybe too much, yeah. So yeah, look, yeah, and people already found more things in there, but yeah.
Yeah. And really,
It's
the
the
main
details, right?
The main point comes down to that you cannot accept video content as any kind of genuine proof on its own. I mean,
Not
it's never
anymore,
been it's never been legal proof anyway. Certainly not in the British system. Yeah, video evidence cannot be used on its own. It has to be backed up by other types of evidence.
Yeah. Well, people have been running these two AI checkers, right? And they come back with 68%. Yeah, that's that.
But it's the other questions around this potentiality of him being dead or taken off the stage. Like maybe, like you suggested, maybe he's not dead, but he's just severely injured or something.
Yeah, there's two rumors: he's dead or injured.
Yeah,
he's in Germany getting treatment. That's the because the plane went there. So, yeah.
Right. So you see that's why to me it's sort of like, well, we can look at the videos, but really you can't really trust them. Even if you saw one where nobody could find any anomalies, I still wouldn't trust it. Because all video content now has to be kept on you need corroboration with other sources to confirm this video footage.
But if he's actually dead, who's running the country?
Yeah, the other hardliners, the other extremists.
So why are they keeping him alive with an AI? And can he live forever now because he's an AI? Can they use him for the next fucking,
Potentially, yeah. Considering what they have been doing for quite a few years now, and this information tends to fade out in recent times because, for obvious reasons, as we got closer to this timeline, because I don't think it's purely happenstance that this shit is happening now. Yeah, I don't. In the same way as I don't think it was just coincidence that they did COVID in 2020, that kind of thing. But the further back in time you go, the more evidence you'll see for this. The Israelis have been very technologically advanced all along. Epstein files now also add a layer of corroboration to this. They've been involved in the Silicon Valley tech development right from the beginning. And as many people have argued, like I said, you've got to go back a few years to find this evidence, because in more recent times, people stopped saying anything because they usually got cancelled or some other problems in their life for talking about this. Yeah. But you go back and you look at the various whistleblowers or other evidence that was presented, the real Silicon Valley was in Israel, not in America. That was just the like Area 51. Yeah, that was the publicly acknowledged shop front. But the real directional control, I suppose you could call it, or steering house, You know, if you think of it like a ship. But the real steering house was in Israel. And you had different elements to it. One of it was the Talpiot program, which I can't remember his name. There's a one guy, I think he's Australian, that talks about this a lot, but he's not really on the scene anymore for the kind of reasons like I hinted at.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he was a fair bit over the top though.
He went to Iran as well, right?
I was suspicious that he was deliberately
Yeah.
trying to generate anti-Semitism with what he was saying on some of the shit he used.
No, in 2020 hindsight.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it's not just the Talpiot program.
He was pretty edgy, but he was on the Talpiot.
Yeah, he was on the button. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's other elements to it. Yeah, Talpiot was primarily concerned with the academic world. So in other words, they influenced the placing of students and professors in this is worldwide, not just in Israel, in the academic system. So basically, they could have an influence on the material and the content that was not only being taught, but the innovations and ideas that were coming out of the academic body. So in other words, they got first sniff on any good technology so they could move in and appropriate it before it reached public audience. Yeah. So they basically had an advanced step on new technologies that were being brought in. That included software, not just hardware, obviously, but software as well.
Yeah, so it's unit 8200, right?
Yeah, but they're kind of like the internet espionage part of their system. Yeah, they're not
the digital warriors.
Yeah, the digital warriors. That's it. I was trying to think.
Let me see if I can.
I know the Mossad is like MI6, and then you've got
Brennan O'Connell.
Shin Bet. That's him. Yeah, Brennan O'Connell. You got Shin Bet, which are kind of like MI5 sort of, and then you got the B'nai B'rith, who are more social and religious influence. And then you got that Chabad Lubavitch, which is more political Zionism influence around the world. But yeah, the technological stuff, the Israelis have been in the core of it for a long time. And like I said, if you go back in time and look for the information, you'll find a lot more people pointing out about how they were engineering towards certain outcomes in a technology sense. So they were helping to put out the technology that would be required to create things like the current AI systems that we've got that are supposedly organically developed through competition between different startups and businesses. Bullshit. Pretty much all of them, and certainly the ones that are proving to be top of the heap, have been created by the agencies, like In-Q-Tel creating them or funding the startups and shit like that, buying startups. And don't forget Ellison and Oracle and the fact that they've been making major moves along that line to control the media now. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, hearts and minds controlling the information resources. That's part of why YouTube has become worse and worse and worse in that respect. That was some of what was fueling my rant at the start of all this shit. Because as the tyranny gets worse, the accessibility and the usability of this technology is going to become worse for us. I think they like to be able to keep an eye on us. They like to be able to monitor what the public are thinking and saying to each other, because that gives them a lead on when bad things might happen to them or when public opinion changes direction. So I don't think they're ever going to completely take it away. But things like the digital ID and other control restrictions, gating systems, basically, are going to become more and more just general, as in everybody expects it to just be part of how the system works for safety and security because of the war. There's a war under, We need a war
but this is AI. It's all this, right? These guys have been working on this. For us, it's now, oh, it's AI. Yeah. Oh, it's Palantir. Oh, it's no, Palantir is like Facebook.
Yeah.
So the Teal boys and those guys. Here's the technology guys. You want to market it, please? Put it to market and get it, because that's kind of interesting that Rob brought up that article
Hmm.
about teal.
Yep, that's a good segue for us to mention that.
Yeah. Because the whole fucking that also ties into what Professor Zhang was talking about, and the whole right the coming of the Antichrist narrative.
I would also add into this consideration the context. This is, I'm not sure if I said this last week, but I also heard Scott Ritter say pretty much exactly the same as I was thinking. The Ayatollah in Iran was the Islamic equivalent of the Pope. So what Trump and Netanyahu and the so-called Anglo, well, I should say Israeli-American coalition at the moment, what they have done is the equivalent of assassinating the Pope and then starting a war on the Vatican. Obviously, I know Iran is a hell of a lot bigger and it's militarily capable and whatever, but in a religious perspective sense, this is why the people there who follow that kind of religious perspective on their lives, that's why they're incensed. That's why they've been driven crazy, and I think that was deliberate.
The American Pope was unexpected,
killing the girls,
right? How that went with the American Pope and how the old one kind of.
Oh, so yeah, that was supposedly
how they moved him over when J.D. Vance shook his hand and he was dead the next day.
Yeah, funny that, wasn't it?
And they replaced him with a fucking American.
Yeah, somebody who's a much better puppet.
Let me guess, is he Zionist? Probably.
Yeah. But does it say anywhere in this that he actually directly met the Pope face to face to say this to him?
No.
He was just interacting with representatives.
No, he has these lectures, right, about the Antichrist, and he had one in Rome, and then they asked the Vatican, "Do you approve?" And the Vatican said no.
Well,
that's the story.
A big shout out.
They didn't go. The Pope didn't go, or none of that.
Yeah, but I would add, and as a shout out to Big Tony, because he often mentioned this, the Vatican, and not necessarily this current Pope,
the devil.
Yeah, because like you just mentioned, he got recently swapped out, but in recent years, they've made some major fucking suspicious moves and activities, including things like hosting a pagan idol that was allegedly, and I mean, I don't necessarily agree with this, but this is their Catholic point of view. This pagan idol allegedly was used for antichrist kind of rituals and ceremonies. It was almost satanic in many ways. And Tony made the point at the time, why the fuck are they giving this any acknowledgement whatsoever? It's completely against the tenets of Catholicism. But they've been doing shit like this on the regular now for years, almost like they're trying to deliberately debase what the Vatican represents, what Catholicism represents, etc.
Yeah, it's the unification of the three Abrahamic fucking, and I guess the Pope already has, because the Roman Church likes to be part of that.
Yeah,
right?
I think
he doesn't give a shit about all the other churches, really, all the other Christian churches.
No,
he just cares about himself, so he's there for preservation, I guess.
He's, as far as I know, though, his legitimacy does still apply to all of Christianity as well, so including the Orthodox in Russia. So I'm not sure how it would work in that respect.
Well, they have their own kind of
I know they have the patriarchs, because they tend to refer to the patriarch. There's a body of them. There's not just one.
Russia has the new Rome, right? Supposed to be the next Constantinople, Rome, Moscow, St. Petersburg.
I'm still not.
That's what they believe over there in Russia.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do, because they're on an ascendancy at the moment, aren't they? They have been for quite a few years.
Yeah, they think after Rome and Constantinople, they will be the next major.
Turkey might have a disagreement with that, and so might the Chinese.
Well, Turkey had that day when Constantinople was a thing, so they're harking back to history, mate. It's like us, we're just colonizers.
Istanbul, no Constantinople, no Istanbul.
It's new history.
Constantinople. What did Constantinople do to deserve this? Ain't nobody know but the Turks.
But yeah, it's interesting that, you know, the tech bros and all those guys are totally on this bandwagon as well, with the Antichrist and the coming off and getting ready and talking about it and philosophizing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to mention that, because for one thing, you've got a hell of a lot of contradiction and hypocrisy from people like, and I know Teal thinks in a very similar way, or he certainly expressed a very similar kind of pattern of thinking, like that Carp, that
Alex.
little, thank you, yeah, I couldn't remember it was that Alex Carp, the little presentation he did not too long ago, where he's talking about them using the AI for doing targeting. And he was bigging up his AI, his company. You know, going, yeah, we can do that kind of shit. We're great at it. We're fantastic.
Yeah, he's the crazy Palantir guy. Yeah, it's not Teal.
No, but in a similar manner, this is what I'm saying. Teal thinks in a similar way. For them, they are very utilitarian. For those that might have forgotten, those at the back of the class that may have been too distracted with fooling around and have forgot the lesson over the last several years, what does utilitarianism mean? What is utilitarianism? I've talked about this a few times. Malthus. Anybody remember the name Malthus? And the Panopticon? Yeah, it all comes out around the same time. The roots of utilitarianism are a little bit earlier than that, but it comes out around the same time. This was when they start to develop the philosophy of eugenics, and some of the things that become disguised under the euphemism of philanthropy. In other words, you're going back to
eternal life.
The late 1700s, early 1800s, with people like Malthus who are talking about how we need to control the population because otherwise there'll be too many of us. So he comes up with concepts. I'm not sure if it's completely attributable to him. There's others involved in utilitarianism. I just can't think of the names off the top of my head. But they come up with this concept that they call utilitarianism, which is basically a way of justifying culling your population or enabling some kind of systemic methodology that the governing system of the population has the authority to control the breeding ability of the population so that they can keep numbers under control. In other words, utilitarian. In other words, only things that can be justified as being utilitarian to us, useful. Yeah, they're useful to us. So they have a function. So they have a role in society. This is the way they presented it. Yeah. So if there's too many people, that's a waste. They're useless eaters. We need to get rid of them. We only need the number of people required to operate the machinery. I mean, back in his day, there wasn't so much machinery, but you get the point. Utilitarianism was an early form of tyrannical fascism, where they claim some kind of political justification to control more than just your ability to procreate, more than just your ability to breed and have a family. Basically, they wanted ultimate control over how you live your life so that they could guarantee that the state would never be put in a position of deprivation. In other words, there was always enough food for all the people. There was always enough fuel for all the people. You know, it was like an early version of communism, or very similar ideas. You know, I heard Street Food Ender. Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's 10 past. I'll try and wind myself up in a minute and get another song. I haven't got anything in the top of my head.
Utilitarianism. The theory originated in the 18th and 19th centuries with philosophers Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, who argued that actions should be evaluated based on their ability to produce the greatest good. Bentham introduced the concept of the falsific calculus to measure pleasure and pain, whilst Mill redefined the theory of disgusting between higher and lower pleasures. Utilitarianism has been applied in areas like economics, public policy, and business ethics. though it faces criticism for potentially justifying harm to individuals if it benefits the majority.
He
the greater
invented
good.
S&M, basically.
John
Yeah.
Stuart Mill, of his own free will, on half a pint of whiskey, was particularly ill. But Plato, they say, could stick it away. You know. So anyway, yeah. Before I quote the whole song, back into fucking quoting Monty Python again. So. But there's good stuff, definitely. The Drunken Philosopher's Song. Thank you, Rob, for looking that up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the early version of that kind of eugenics excuse, you know, for why they need to control the population and stuff like that. I can't remember why I was mentioning that utilitarianism now in the first fucking place. Because I distracted myself trying to remember who it was that started that shit. Yeah, Malthus was just the panopticon, wasn't he? Well, maybe not just, but that was his sort of claim to fame. But yeah, those kind of concepts are definitely still part of the goal. That's why I was talking about it. Thiel. The kind of stuff that Thiel and Karp and Musk and the other tech bros, the direction, the philosophical, ideological point of view that they're coming from is utilitarian, right? Oh, yeah, thanks, Musk. I completely forgot. It's based on utilitarianism. Yeah, they might couch it in a slightly different language. They might use some techno babble to try and excuse the ideological claims that they're making. For example, the AI can do all these functions for us, and it will do it better and more efficiently. It will make sure everybody's got what they need. Utilitarianism, yeah, for the greater good. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. That's where that concept comes from utilitarianism, from Mill, as far as I remember, John Stuart Mill. I've still got a couple of his books.
I got two questions for the Rune.
Oh, right, okay.
Is BB dead and is the Antichrist coming? But they might be related.
Yeah, they might be one and the same. I'll try and merge them into one question. But yeah, the point I was making is those tech bros who were inculcated and encouraged through the system we were just talking about that stems or roots out of Israel. And I'm talking about Israel, the nation state.
Ancient Israel, right?
Yeah, not necessarily the Hebrew people, but Israel, the nation state, the Zionistic nation state.
Oh.
So there is definitely a direct connection into why these tech bros are talking about introducing a technocratic, tyrannical global system that is based on principles of utilitarianism. That is literally the new fucking world order. But these so-called tech bros are being presented to us now in the same way as back at the turn of the last century, they presented the so-called philanthropists, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and various others, that went around the world supposedly, like Cadbury and Tesco and Sainsbury's here in the UK, building their own little villages where they could control and manage the lives of the people that worked in their factories, because the people weren't paid in real money. They were paid in vouchers that only worked in the shop on site. Utilitarianism. No child will be allowed other than there is a role for them in life.
I think Elon Musk and SpaceX is a perfect example why they did it, right?
Yes.
So because he didn't invent rockets, he didn't do any of that. Funny that NASA got fucking blocked and they stopped shooting shit in the sky, and all of a sudden Mr. SpaceX is there with his commercial business, because in a commercial settings you can do way more. You can get away with way more shit than in a government bureaucratic. Oh, we have to approve this. We have to approve. That's why they gave it to him. Same with LifeLock and Facebook, right? That they commercialized that shit, and that's why SpaceX is NASA.
Yeah, and
2.0.
Palantir. That's why
Palantir is Talpion and all that shit. Yeah.
That's why they did it as a private business, so they could get away with doing loads of stuff like invasive espionage on you and profiling you and shit like that.
Remember 9/11? TNT was or what was that? The telephone company in TNT.
TNT. T
Yeah.
and T.
Yeah, they were sucking up all the fucking data from all the main lines that went through the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Back then, that was fucking 2001. They were already doing that. All of it.
Something that I've mentioned it a few times over the years. Oracle.
And now it's Palantir
Ellison,
doing that, right? And commercial companies. Then it was TNT, the governmental kind of linked official kind of not anymore.
Listening into every conversation and recording every conversation. Well, some people claim they recorded everything. I'm a bit dubious.
On words, right? Trigger words.
Media storage back then would have made it somewhat impractical, but based on keywords, trigger words, yes.
Keywords, yeah.
Because the system would be listening, and if you said a certain word or phrase, it would just activate the auto recording.
And those algorithms now do your advertising as well.
Yeah. It's
it's
why
the same
Google's
shit.
so good.
Same algos. No different.
It's why Google can find what you want before you even know that you want it.
Yep.
Yeah, fucking bullshit artists. Okay, let me grab the bag of runes.
Oh well.
And we will ask the question of, is BB dead, or did he just get returned to the layer of hell where he's going to transform back into his real
natural form?
Yeah. And then he'll re-emerge again, probably at summer solstice. Because he's going to be like in an egg form at the moment. He's gone back into his unholy egg form because that adds into kind of like some of the Gnostic mythology. Because the demiurge initially begins in an egg form, if I remember correctly. The universe is an egg. Obviously, he's not the real holy being, the real divine creator. The demiurge is the false self, the false ego self of the true creator. You could think of it that way, yeah. So
I also compare like Peter Thiel with Alan Parsons. Like these guys are trying to do the esoteric and the Antichrist thing and learning, trying to figure out and trying to glean knowledge, gnosis.
Other people pointed this out, right? They're rehashing and presenting stuff from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. This is very Aleister Crowley stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Which very much
New Crowleyism.
To what McKenna was talking about.
Chicken leg.
Yeah, some people might recognise that. Yeah. It's the what is it? The Warrior or the Thunder? Put your fucking glasses on, you dumb fuck. Trying to read the fucking writing without me double glasses on. Protection.
Ooh.
It's the opposite to the defense is different to protection. Oh, okay. How the fuck does that relate into is BB still alive or not? It's not inverted.
Well, maybe he's fake because he's hiding protection.
During times of transition, shifts in life's course and accelerated self-change, it is important not to collapse yourself into your emotions, the highs as well as the low. New opportunities and challenges are typical. I'm not sure how this...
Snake says life.
It's a mirror for the spiritual warrior. That's what I was thinking it was related to the warrior room, but it's the mirror for the spiritual warrior, the one whose battle is always with the self. So are the runes, Odin, are you trying to let me know that the devil that Netanyahu presents is just the devil within myself? It's funny that I mention the Gnostics because that would be a Gnostic perspective of he's just the emanation of the demiurge within myself.
Yeah, sure. He's playing that role perfectly, isn't he? He's like...
But it doesn't really answer whether he's alive or not, Remain mindful that timely action and correct conduct are the only true protection.
I'm confused a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm stuck
Snake
on that
says
one.
live, but
yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe
thank
that's
you.
what it's trying to let me know. As in, it's saying that he is protected, therefore he's still alive. Yeah, that could mean that.
Yeah, he's probably hiding.
It would make sense, as
sipping
in
pina coladas.
he's gone into protection, so he's still alive, somewhere being protected.
He's not in Tel Aviv, is he? Where any moment a fucking hypersonic can wipe him out.
Yeah.
So no, he's not there. I'm sure of that. He's not at a cafe.
Well,
zipping coffee.
In the coming days and weeks, and we're going, these kind of questions are going to become inconsequential. They are basically just red meat for the fucking general public to argue over, like the videos are. They want us to just spend all our time arguing over whether they're real or not, and then several more days would have passed, and more of the fucking war would have been able to take place.
It's gonna be another. Oh, I told you so.
Yeah, a lot of this has been. That's why I decided to start taking the piece and just saying, yeah, it'll be over by Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. Go back to your entertainment.
Yep.
You don't need to. Oh, that would be good. Yeah, I can't play that. Did you put that up, Rob?
Yeah.
Did you just? Hello, Kitty. Did you want to join in, Kitty, or were you waiting for just the after chat?
I think after chat.
Type it in the chat if you did want to join in.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Days. Yeah, I agree, mate. He's just a puppet face for us to fixate on.
Yep.
I certainly don't think he's the ultimate mastermind. I didn't mean that when I was talking about it earlier. I don't think he's in that kind of position, but he is the face that we're given to represent all of the shit that they're doing.
Yeah, they represent something very old.
Yeah.
That's how
just
I
remind
like to put
people there's no live show tomorrow. We're doing it Friday instead.
Yeah.
Oh yes, thank you for.
Thanks for thanks for that.
So,
and Rob is not there on Wednesday either.
Yeah, but we're going to do a live show on the solstice. Is it?
Yeah. We're going to do a ladies' night.
8 p.m. usual time.
8 p.m. Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So 8 p.m. usual time on Friday night on Health Freedom UK channel.
Yeah.
And we can make notes of the fact that it's
Tuesday night off, everyone.
Equinox.
Mm-hmm. I'll make an extra long daily, maybe.
I'll comb
Depends.
Just for me, Pete.
Depends. Yeah.
I might wash my hair. Paint my nails.
I put cat videos in there for you.
Thanks.
I was thinking about doing a real life grok and bikinifying myself before I go out. Yeah.
Ooh.
But I was going to get, I mentioned it a few times recently, one of them silicone tops that I told you about, with the fake boobies on. But I thought, if I get one of them silicone tops and put it on over my clothing, and then just put a really tiny micro bikini on, and then go out, do you think I'd get arrested?
Yes.
No. No.
But I'm a live action grok bikinification. Yeah, I don't.
As long as you identify as something.
I identify as the Divine Lord and Savior, but you can call me Daryl. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thanks all.
Do a 12-hour daily. What the fuck?
Well, I can stick them all together and then play them all. Sure. I got 300 dailies. I play them one after the other.
All you have to do is do a live show and just put them
play the dailies, all of them.
Play the dailies. Yeah. You probably get a few more subscribers.
I could do that. Sure. Mega live stream. Yeah.
657
live news channels. Live news channels.
I'll do that when Rob is doing his show.
I did see somebody do that several months ago. They used to do live broadcasts where they had something like I think there was 4 different live news channels on one screen. And they just put that out as a live feed so you could see all 4 at the same time.
Yeah, but you have to get allowance from those guys. And that often comes with a fee. So you have to pay for those.
Steve said daily with a chat. You see?
Yeah, good enough. I did do a premiere sometimes, right? To see how that works, but yeah.
If you do them as a premiere, they go up with a chat room, so you could sit and chat with people while they're watching it.
Yeah, I tried that, but yeah.
It just means you have to be there. You know?
Sometimes they're done at 11, and sometimes they're done at 4 a.m. So
just do them when you want to, and don't let the audience bully you into doing fucking more than you've got the ability to spend time on.
Yeah, no, it's a hobby for me, so I do them whenever. So yeah. I'll stick to that program because that works.
Thanks,
right now,
thanks all, and don't forget to like the show. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Oh yeah, please.
Please do share, follow.
We'll
subscribe.
See you again soon. I've got a different song. I'll get rid of that.
Okay, no worries, Cookie. It's all right.
No, I'm saying I've got a different song to play, not the one I originally pulled up. I'm going to play the one that you've added because
okay.
To me seems more appropriate.
Yes, it does.
If it's the one I remember anyway. So
yeah.
Hopefully, so don't forget, no show tomorrow night. We'll be back Wednesday, and Rob will be back Friday. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Good cheers.
Makes you wonder how the other half died. Other half died. Makes you wonder. Well, here come the man with a look in his eye. It's fed on nothing but full of pride. Look at him go, look at him kick. Makes you wonder how the other half live. Devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Devil inside, devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Oh. Look in its eye. Future uncertain, but certainly slight. Look at the faces, listen to the bells. It's hard to believe we need a place called hell. Place called hell. The devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Ooh. Na, 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 na. Comes a woman with a look in her eye. She's raised on leather, with flesh on the mind. Words are weapons, sharper than knives. Makes you wonder how the other half died. A devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. The devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. The devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. Devil inside, devil inside. Every single one of us, the devil inside. The devil inside. Yeah, yeah. The devil inside. Yeah, yeah.
I hear you're a racist now, Father.